This is Raw Narrative. Raw Narrative. Stories in the raw.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Raw Narrative. I am your host, Adriana, and today we are going to talk about gear. But it's not just like standard blah, blah, blah photographer gear. I want to put everything in layman's terms for the couple / the client to if you're interested in learning, this is towards you guys. I want to teach you guys about camera gear. I thought that would be kind of fun. And recently, actually today, I waited to film because I was waiting for my lens to come in. I just got a new piece of gear and I'm super excited about it. And I'm actually filming this podcast on my iPhone today because I wanted to talk to you about all the gear I have. I've all my gear right here. It's a lot, but let's see. Life updates for you guys. Just got a new lens. I'll talk to you guys about that in a minute. And tomorrow is our pop-up for the Providence Cotton Mill. I cannot wait to photograph all the cute couples tomorrow. And I'm sure I will be putting a little highlight on Instagram of everything. Yay! Ooh, I got these cute jeans. If you're watching on YouTube, I got these in Houston. Speaking of Houston, my husband and I, we had some unfortunate news. Because this is real life, his pawpaw of 81 years went to be with the Lord. He had his battles with his health and it was time for him to go to heaven. So was it this past weekend? It was this past weekend. I went to Houston to be able to be with the family and really just celebrate pawpaw. And then this week, we are going back this weekend to go be with the family and have his beautiful celebration of life service. So that's been real life for us. In Houston, it's a different world out there. If you've ever been, it's oil rigs and all types of manufacturing stuff out there. That's where my husband grew up. But they have a really good Marshalls. And so we tried to make some, have some fun together in light of the situation. And I got these Levi's and they're the really baggy, cute, and a cute denim jacket. So I've been obsessed with wearing those lately. But yeah, that's kind of our life update. It's been a little bit crazy in life ways, but we just keep going along and it makes you reflect back and cherish the moments that we had with Pawpaw. I'm going to miss him so dearly and my husband as well and all the family, but it's been good in the light of everything. It's brought everybody together again, physically, physical locations with everybody living in different places. So it's been nice to be able to see the family. But that would be kind of what's new in that vein. But back to a lighter note, I wanted to talk to you guys about camera gear. That's why you came to this segment. So that's what we're going to talk about. Okay, so I want you to imagine that you know nothing about a camera. Okay, I'm going to show you. Here's a camera body. I'm going to talk to you guys about everything, all my gear list. I shoot Canon. I grew up with a Canon camera. Well, actually, my very first point and shoot, I think that was a Fujifilm. I have it somewhere. I found it recently. And then I had a Sony Cybershot, the old school, pink one. I was obsessed with that thing. I can't find that one. I don't know if I gave it to my baby sister when I got my DSLR, my first DSLR. Oh, and I forgot I had given my old DSLR to my mother-in-law when I had upgraded some gear. And so it was funny to be reacquainted with it momentarily in Houston. And so I was looking at it. I held it in my hand. I was like, oh, this is the first DSLR that I owned. So I got to visit that camera and she still uses it to shoot cute little things too. But yeah, I evolved from like a Rebel T3. And then after that, I got my first full frame camera, and that was a Canon 6D. And then after that, I started trickling into weddings. And so I needed a second camera body. And then I got a 5D Mark III. And then I sold my Canon 6D. Yes, my first full frame. I sold that and got a Canon 5D Mark IV. So then I had a Mark IV and a Mark III for shooting weddings, because you need 2 camera bodies when you're shooting weddings. And I'll explain a little bit about that in a minute. But you need 2 of them, not 1, but 2. You don't need them, but like I couldn't rest without at least knowing I had a backup, you know? Okay. And then after that, I decided I wanted to go mirrorless. So then I got my first mirrorless camera, and that is the Canon R6. I still shoot with the R6. Is this the one I'm holding in my hand? Yes, this is the R6. It's phenomenal. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with this camera. And then I got 2 of them. I still have the second camera body. Did I put it away? One of them is listed for sale. One of my Canon R6s, because I picked up, and it's attached to this big honkin' lens. Hold on a second. This bad boy. I'll explain this lens in a second. I'm going to take that off for a second. But I got the Canon R6 Mark II because I'm shooting hybrid, guys. I am shooting video and photo. I think I talked to you guys about that. I'm so stoked about it. But let's talk about cameras, okay? So on a wedding day, I use 2 cameras. For engagement sessions, I use 1 camera. But I feel like a wedding day is something that is a one-time thing. It's a one-time ordeal. So if something were to happen to one of my camera bodies, if it stopped working for whatever reason, etc., I need to make sure I have a backup. Okay. So that's why I shoot with 2. Not only do I shoot with 2, I copy all of the data to 2. Look, I have an SD card in there, to 2 SD card slots. If you're watching on YouTube, there are 2 SD card slots in each camera. Okay. So that way, if an SD card corrupts, or if something happens before I can double back up my files to 2 hard drives, I have backups on the SD cards of your wedding day photos. I am like risk management all day long. Okay. It's so important to not like mess around with that. So, okay. Yay. Let's talk about camera settings. Okay. So if you're wondering how do you shoot? Like, do you just turn it on and shoot and everything happens automatically? No. Nope. I mean, you can, but the work would not look consistent. So as your wedding photographer / engagement photographer, I shoot manual. Do you see how it has that M on it? That stands for shooting manual. So what that means is there are essentially 3 elements to my settings that I'm constantly thinking about in different situations. Okay. So that is my f-stop, which I will explain this in a minute, my ISO, and then my shutter. Okay. And then from there, I also shoot in Kelvin. So I'm adjusting the temperature. Okay. Let's talk about f-stop. What is f-stop? F-stop is when my camera body, here, this one doesn't have a lens on it. When my camera body is attaching to the lens here. Boop, boop, boop. Boom. Okay. Activate f-stop. It has to do with this is like the control center, and this is like the eyeball. Okay. So just think of like, this is the brain, the body, the camera body is like the brain of the camera. And my lens is like the eyeball. It's taking in all the information And this is like digesting it and formatting it and like storing it. Okay. I want you to think of that coordination. So eye and brain. Okay. So my f-stop, do I have a battery in here? Oh, I do. Okay. I wonder if you can see it through here. Probably not because I have a ring light, but that is controlling the dilation of the lens. Okay. So think of it like an eyeball. So the lower the number on the f-stop of my camera, so if I'm controlling that number and if I'm turning that number all the way down, which the lowest I think that you can possibly, like if you purchase a lens, like the lowest f-stop that you can possibly purchase on a lens, from my understanding, is a 1.2. Okay, that's super low. So what that means is it's allowing more light into my lens. So then it's like a pupil and it dilates. So when the numbers are low, the glass is dilating and allowing more light in. And I'm able to control that. Now think about it when it's really bright outside, right? It's like so much light's coming in. Okay. Everything that creates more of that creamy bokeh in the background. Now it does get a little tricky with like it being super in focus. I mean, you have to really focus, like really work at keeping it all in focus and keeping everything crisp and sharp if you're going for that look. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a good blurry photo if it's like purposeful, but if we're going for more of like that look of like creamy bokeh, like that blurriness, that dreaminess in the background. Okay, yes. And that's combined with a longer focal length as well that creates a lot of that bokeh in the background. But just think about that, okay? So the amount of light coming in. Now, like I said, it's hard to keep everything in focus. So if I am photographing a lot of people in like one frame, I might need to bring my f-stop up. Even though it can go down to 1.2, that doesn't mean I should responsibly shoot at 1.2. That means that I might need to take it up to 2.0. So it's decimals, okay? So it could be 1.2. And then the points keep going up until you hit the 2, essentially, okay? So this, let's like, okay, I'll talk about this lens in a second. Because remember, f-stop. So whenever you hear F with the numbers, that means my aperture, okay? I'm controlling the dilation, how much light I'm allowing into the lens, okay? Got it? F-stop. Eyeball. Pupil. Dilating. F-stop. Aperture. F-stop and aperture are used interchangeably, okay? It's the same thing. Let's talk about ISO. So ISO is connected to the camera body, the brain. It's the sensitivity to processing the light. So everything is with like light, okay? So the lower the ISO, it's like the less strain is on it for processing light. So like 100 ISO. That is a good like baseline for like shooting outside and like very well lit, maybe like right before golden hour or midday or whatever. Like shooting at that ISO means like the data is going to be very clean coming in. The images are not going to be full of like the grain or noise. Okay. Now, the higher my ISO on my camera, typically the more noise, which is that graininess, will be on the photos. Now, there's a difference between noise and grain stylistically, okay? Noise, you can tell it's not supposed to be there. It's like, it's not grain. Noise is like an image that looks almost distorted. And in my opinion, it looks bad, okay? Now, if you add grain in post-production and like the size and the amount of it is like very specific, to give it like that stylistic grainy look to an image, especially in my black and white photos. I love doing that. That's so different. These mirrorless camera bodies are insane. You can like, I forget how high, like, okay, I think I have the battery in this. So let me see how high my ISO can go in here. I'm trying to, Okay. 25,600. That's how high. Think about like what I said, like the lowest typically like for like that really crisp looking image is 100 outside. And yeah, you can like push it to like, sometimes I shoot 200, sometimes 400 if I'm outside and it's getting darker and the sun's setting and it's like golden hour. But what's cool about these mirrorless camera bodies is that like during like outside stuff or indoor reception, like when it's nighttime or it's like really dim, or if it's more of like that ambient lighting, and I don't necessarily want to use a flash, which I love these flashes. Okay. Like if I'm going, because obviously photography is creative, like it's a very creative field. So if I'm not going for like that flash look and I'm wanting to capture something more ambient lit, I don't have to use a flash. I can use a lens that has a low f-stop. So I have an 80, this is a prime lens, okay? This is an 85 millimeter 1.4. So that means my f-stop can go all the way down. Okay, the pupil can open wide open at 1.4, which allows so much natural light and so much ambient light to come in. If I really needed to push it down to that, I could. And I can bump the ISO up, and the way the mirrorless camera bodies are designed, you can push the limits with ISO and these images come out insane. They don't have like a ton of noise to them, and they're salvageable in post-production. And now with like AI noise reduction, it's like crazy what you can do. And like I've been able to really save and like just create really cool low lit images for nighttime shots, for like sparkler exits. That's a great way, like a great example. If I'm wanting more of like ambient light and less flash for that, because this is like, of course, if I'm going to be using a flash, my ISO is not going to be as high, right? Because I have artificial light coming in and my settings have to be adjusted if I'm using like an artificial light, because I'm adding more light to then like, you know what I'm saying? I'm adding additional light in. Okay. So I could like combine like one of my prime lenses. Prime lenses, they don't zoom. So that's what that means. They're fixed. So they're fixed focal length. They don't zoom at all, but they're beautiful. I love them. They're great for low lit situations. I have the 85 prime 1.4. I have a 35 1.4. See, these are adapters for the RF because these are EF lenses and they're still phenomenal lenses. If I really need more reach, this is a 135. And this one goes down to 2.0. But I want to talk to you guys about 2.0. 2.0 is still super low for aperture. Like some of these kit lenses, this is why, like if you're wanting to dabble in photography, like sure, whatever, like use the kit lens, but don't use it forever. At least like grab a 50 1.8. Those are so inexpensive and like it'll get you out of having that high aperture, because a lot of those lenses have like a 4 aperture or like a 5 or whatever, and they go all the way up, which is fine, but it gives you like that more prime look, which these prime lenses, I love the prime lenses. I started out with shooting only prime until, okay, I'm gonna put these bad boys back, until I got the 28-70. Guys, the reason why this lens is insane, this is why I like wanted this lens, is because it zooms, you see that? From 24 all the way up to 70. So basically, I'm sorry, not 24 to 28. It's a 28-70. So from 28, which is a wide angle, and then the higher the number, it becomes less wide and more telephoto. And so it gets more reach the higher the number is. So like a 28. So if I'm not zoomed out on this, if I'm if I'm shooting here, I'm at 28, I can shoot a wide angle. So I could do a huge group shot of people. I can shoot like just that like very stylistic look. Like I love wide angle lens. 35 is my favorite focal length. Okay. Personally, it's my favorite. And so sometimes what I'll do is I'll just stick this. If I don't want to swap my lenses, I'll stick it on 35 and shoot at 35 like all the time because I love it. And I know I have a 35. I mean, I keep this one. This is my favorite focal length. I mean, I just love the way the RF looks and I love how versatile this lens is because it goes all the way down to 2.0 and it's like a prime thing in a bottle. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like it shoots like prime lenses. They shoot so beautifully and creamy. It shoots, and it's so versatile. I never have to like take it off. And at first it was a little bit heavy, like getting used to it, but I'm so used to it now. I was like, shoot, I mean, why are we complaining about this being heavier? I'm going to the gym now, getting stronger. And so it's like, well, if I want good photos and I think it's heavy, it just means I need to go to the gym and work out more so I can have the best quality images that I think I could produce. And it's not all about the gear. I mean, gear is a component to having like high quality photography. Of course, you want good gear. And I do value and appreciate good gear. And I want to give my couples the best of the best. Okay. So yes, I love this lens. So 28 to 70. So that's focal length, right? Okay. So we talked about f-stop. We talked about ISO. I mentioned focal length a little bit. Let's talk about shutter. So shutter is in I have so many lenses, guys. Shutter is inside of the body of the camera. Okay. The shutter is a little component in there. Think about like let's compare it since we compared things to like brains and eyeballs. Okay. It's kind of like it's connected to the camera body and it coincides, of course, with like the lens has to be attached to it, but it's kind of like your eyelids, how fast you're blinking. Okay. It's how fast, or if the longer you keep your eyes open without like, if I'm looking at the camera right on YouTube, I'm keeping my eyes like wide open. So if I don't blink, it's really hard because there's like light in my eyes. If I do not blink, obviously it allows more time for more light to come inside of my eyes, right? If you were to blink your eyes really fast, like this, blink, 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 it has like less light. You can see like it's not a continuous stream of light coming in. Like if you blink periodically or whatever. So the slower you blink, the more light is coming through your eyes, right? The faster you blink, the less light is coming through your eyes, right? So if you were to like practice that real quick, you would be able to envision it and like see it in real time. So that is the same on the camera body. So the shutter is like the eyelids of the camera body. It's just blinking, 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 blink, 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 blink. So the faster my shutter, the faster your eyelids are blinking. Blink, 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 right? The faster I am getting shots, right? Now, here's the thing. Do you know how you guys like right now, like it's such a cool trend to have like that the movement in your photos and blurry or like a long exposure and stuff like that. That has to do a lot with shutter because if I have a lot of movement happening in my camera and I have a super low shutter count, that means I'm allowing more light to come in. So like, yes, the brighter the image is going to be, the lower the number is of the shutter. Okay. So if I have my shutter at like 20, which is really low because for standard shooting, like 250, if I'm shooting like just a little bit of movement and stuff, my minimum needs to be at like 250 to be able to capture. So keep that in perspective. So 20 is like movement. It's going to be a little bit blurry. You're going to get that blurry look and it's going to be really bright. So what I would do as your photographer, I prefer to keep my ISO as low as possible because I don't want noise in my photos, right? So I'm going to keep my ISO as low as I can. So I'm going to bump up my f-stop because remember, the higher the number, the less, right? The higher the number, the less amount of light is coming in. Yes. So if I have a low shutter, that'll balance that out where it's not overexposed. So, and my photo will still look really sharp in some areas, especially if I have on a tripod or if I'm just like steadying my hand and my subject is moving. When my subject is moving in front of me, I'm able to capture the movement. But if I have my camera super still, the background is not moving. And so it looks like a still photo, like it's still in the back because that's not moving, but my subject is moving. It's so cool. I love art and technology. So that's how we get that blurry, cool look. So you guys should try it at home if you want to experiment with photography. But if you were wondering how that worked. So our three main, I can't think of the word, thingamajiggies that you need to know of like how to shoot and manual. And if you want to be a photographer like me, that is your f-stop. We talked about f-stop. I'm using my pinky. I don't know why. F-stop, which is your aperture. Okay. The pupil, the dilation of the lens. It's in connection with the lens. And this is the brain, right? We talked about that. We talked about ISO. It's like the sensitivity to light. And that is within the camera body. Okay. How the brain processes the data and how sensitive it is and able to bring it all together to create the image. Is it going to be grainy? Is it going to be less grainy? So the lower the ISO, typically I prefer the lower that you can get is a really good image quality typically, but with mirrorless cameras, you can really push it. You can push the limits. Yeah. And I'm talking about if you don't have additional light sources. Okay. I'm talking about natural light photography, ambient light. There's a lot of photographers that will push or shoot with a low ISO and they have artificial light like flashes coming in or whatever. But if you're wanting a really natural looking photo without the flash, which it depends on what you're going for, then you can really push that ISO or whatever this one, ISO, and really try to capture the ambient light if that's what you're going for. And I love Adobe Lightroom. Your AI denoise is incredible. Mwah, thank you. You've saved a lot of my photos. So then we talked about your eyelids. So your shutter is how fast the light is coming in, okay? How it's allowing the light to come in, right? And the faster the shutter, you're able to capture different like stops of movement, and they're not really going to be as blurry. Like you can capture someone in the air if you have your shutter super duper high. Someone doing a backflip in the air, you would want to have your shutter count really high, okay? But if it's really high, remember, that means less light is coming in. So what does that mean? You've got to have a lens. This is why lenses are important. Have a lens that has the ability to go down to a low aperture. And that's why people love prime lenses, because you can keep the aperture low and keep your ISO low. Really cool. We love prime lenses, okay? It's the best thing ever. So that's why we love our primes as photographers, okay? And that's why I love this. It's like a prime lens. It's great, okay? Okay, so we talked about that. And then we need to talk about Kelvin. So Kelvin is like the temperature. So blue is cool tone. Yellow, orange-ish is warm tones. So you're basically controlling the number, which the lower the number, the more cool your photo will be. And the higher the number, the more warm your photo will be. In different lighting situations, especially if there's a lot of ambient light, you can like balance out that yellow skin tones. It's really good for correcting skin tones in the camera body before you go to post-production. It saves so much time. And it just gives you like a really cool stylistic look too. If someone loves like really warm photos, you can shoot that in the camera body. I love true to life colors with a tiny bit of warmth sometimes, little bit of warmth, but I love like that true to life, vibrant, like beautiful I don't know. That's my style. I love true to life, vibrant photos. So we learned a lot about that, guys. Okay. This is my new lens. Okay. Okay. I didn't buy this one for the longest time. I would rent it. I wanted to shoot prime. But when mirrorless became a thing, we can push the ISO higher. And because most zoom lenses, they don't come in like low apertures. Okay. So this one is like relatively low. This is a 2.8 fixed aperture. So f2.8. So that means my pupil can be dilated on this lens to a 2.8. I'm not shooting at 1.2 very often, or even 1.4 very often. I'm typically at like 2.0, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4 maybe, like hanging out in the twos. But the lowest this one can go is 2.8. But it is so beautiful. It creates such beautiful images. I rented it, fell in love with it. It's so versatile. It's so compact. It's great for ceremony footage. So that's why I got this one, is for ceremonies primarily, or if I want to like get some extra reach, because remember, the higher the focal length, so this goes to 200. So it zooms. So it starts at a 70 and then it gradually gives me different focal lengths until I get to 200. So I'm able to zoom in with this, and it's longer. So it's telephoto. So I'm able to like capture things from a distance. So if I want to be a fly on the wall, if I don't want to be all up in your grill, I love this lens for like right after the ceremony as well. When the couple kind of just is in that cute swooning mood, like after they celebrate, they had their kiss, they walk down the aisle, they're like, whoa, we're married. They go off to like somewhere just to kind of be with each other for a second. I'm like getting those really cute, like swooning, gooey, adorable little shots with this lens. One of my favorites. Okay. Now I own one. I don't have to rent it. Oh, one other lens I picked up recently. I did not want to buy it. Okay. Oh, I hated like the fact of thinking I would have to buy this lens, because you only use it for like 15 to 20 minutes on a wedding day. That's it. So I was like, this I could use at a portrait session. Proposals. This lens is like great for just fly on the wall, or if I just want to have like that more, like I could use this for any, whatever. And I guess I could use the other one for a portrait session, but I have these other lenses. So I was like, why would I use this one? It's 100 millimeter macro. And so it's for detail shots, like flat lays on wedding days. And I would just rent it because it was so cheap to rent. And I decided to go ahead and buy one. I bought the EF version because I had the adapter, but now I own it because I have a lot of weddings coming up. And it just didn't really make sense for me to rent it anymore. So I bought it. So that is for like getting those really close. It's a macro. Macro is getting like that really close, like up close shot of like the rings, and some nature photographers will use it, but wedding photographers use it primarily for tiny details or like zooming in, but you can be really creative with it. So I'm excited to have it. I'm excited to be creative with it because I like flat lays. They're fun. It's like all your little details of your day, your perfume bottles, your rings, and your invitations, and flower cuttings, and the cufflinks, and all the things that are like sentimental. And we put it together in like a beautiful like flat lay display and in natural light. And I photograph like really cute details. I'll typically use the 100 millimeter macro for that and my 35. But lately, since I've got this lens, I've been using the 35 focal length on this, but it does get a little bit heavy. So if I do want to just shoot at like 35, that's like smaller and just lighter, I'll do that. So that's why I still have this. And I'm waiting for Canon to, oh my gosh, release the 35 millimeter 1.2. Okay. The RF version, I will buy that lens. I will sell this one and buy that one once they release it. Yeah, so on a wedding day, I can pick and choose what I want to bring, but 2 camera bodies, definitely the 28 to 70. this one, 70 to 200, 2.8. I mean, I love having backups too, in case something happens. Like, I don't know. I want to have backup focal lengths too. Okay. Gosh. So I've got 85 millimeter, 35 millimeter, 135. Guys, this is so much gear. It's heavy, but I have the coolest bags. Okay, I have to show you my bags. If you're listening to this podcast, you need to go to YouTube so you can like watch all of this, because I don't know, this episode is very visual. Okay. And I'm putting up the lenses on my table. I have a lot of lenses. Oh my gosh. And then I have 2 flashes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is where I keep all like my SD cards. They're not all in here right now, but they're normally always filled up in here and for wedding day. So I have extras because I'm shooting double to really quadruple if I have 2 on me, because I have a sling camera strap where it's a dual camera strap for 2 camera bodies. So I use that too. Okay, so, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to lean over and grab this flash. I have 2 flashes and they're rechargeable batteries for them. The Kodak's V1s. Amazing. The refresh rate is incredible on these. They're very like editorial looking. I love the look of this flash. It's so clean. It's so crisp. It's phenomenal. And of course, their Canon mount they have, and I'm speaking Canon gear. I mean, this really translates to any brand. Nikon has their own version of all of this gear. Sony has their own version, except for the 28 to 70. Canon only is the only one that has a 28 to 70 that can go all the way down to 2.0. I think Tamron might have some type of lens that's somewhat comparable for people, but that thing is heavy too. It's like really long, but like I said, go to the gym, get stronger if that's something you want. Okay. I forgot it. This is for my vintage Polaroids. I have Polaroid camera. Hey. Yeah, this is my Polaroid camera. So this is something that is top secret. I don't talk about this because I like to spoil my people. Okay. I'm leaning over to grab a camera bag. Oh, I have gear in here. I forgot. Look how pretty she is. This is the Kindly, I think it's the Janessa. No, the bigger one on Kindly's website. They have beautiful bags. So I use this one for wedding days because it's large and it can fit like all the gear that I need. So she's pretty. She's such my style. Like, I love a boho. Look, I have like ribbon hanging out. What is this? Okay, Kindly. I have a big one. Okay. And then I have the smaller version. I'm going to lean over and grab that. Okay. I'm knocking things over. It's so cute. This is what I take for like my smaller shoots, just to store the gear in. If I want to take a Polaroid camera, camera body, 28 to 70, that's normally what I bring for my engagement sessions. Eek, I love this bag. It's so cute. Okay, and then I have my sling bags. Let me show you my sling bags. This one's so pretty. I've been using them as like purses lately. But it's like this pretty olive green, and it has like a strap where I can like connect my camera body to this. It's really cool. And it really helps me just like carry extra batteries, SD cards, extra batteries. Yeah. This is like a larger, it's really a bag. I could fit extra lenses in here if I wanted to. So pretty cool. And then I know I have so much variety. Okay, I love this one. This is like the cute little fanny pack. Just wear it here with my dual camera straps for wedding days, or if I just want something more simple and light to carry around me. The green one's a little bit clunky around the waist, so I like this one for just like extra little cute things to, I don't know, batteries, same kind of thing. It just depends. They have like different uses, like for different needs, for different types of shoots and stuff. Like if it's a longer I don't know. Interchangeably, I can change these out as I need them. And then that's so much gear, guys. This takes years to acquire, okay? It's not instant, okay, to acquire it the right way. Then I have my good, faithful MacBook Pro. I've recently had to upgrade it from the M1 to the M3. I did go ahead and grab the MacBook Pro Max, I think. It's the one that has a lot of RAM in it. Let me grab it. This is my MacBook Pro. This is the newest, whatever model they have. This thing is super cool. I saw this on Amazon and it just sticks on there and it doesn't like leave a residue. I can take it off if I want, but it holds my external hard drives. I back up for my wedding days to 2 different locations. Look how cute. I have 2 of these. These are the Samsung T7 shields. I do have 2 of these. Okay. This is just one that I'm using right now to edit some engagement photos or smaller sessions on too. So I always double back up everything. But I'm sure there's more gear that I use that I didn't mention. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my gear talk today. I've got gear laying everywhere. I've got to go and put this stuff away. But this was really fun. I got to geek out with you guys today. So yeah. Thanks for hanging around. It was fun talking with y'all. So I will catch you guys for the next one. Toodles.
This is Raw Narrative. Raw Narrative. Stories in the Raw.